The Caribbean Development Bank is providing $65 million in loans to the 4 shareholder governments of LIAT for the purchase of new aircraft. Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Dominica will assist with the purchase of aircraft in the context of a fleet modernization project. Co-financing for the project is being provided by shareholder equity contributions and from the sale of LIAT's existing aircraft. Meanwhile, Venezuela has expressed an interest in investing in regional air carrier LIAT, according to Dominica Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, who said flights from Brazil, Venezuela, and all the Latin and South American countries to the Caribbean means additional business for LIAT. LIAT, which flies to 21 destinations in the Caribbean, said reliable and efficient air transportation is essential for connectivity, mobility, and accessibility within the region. Barbados is considering offering a credit voucher against the cost of the British Air passenger duty, according to Tourism Minister Richard Seeley. The credit voucher would apply to British tourists who book a stay of at least 2 weeks in Barbados. The plan to introduce the voucher is part of a 10-point plan to boost the tourism sector in the country. The air passenger duty, which is levied on all flights originating in the United Kingdom, has led to stern opposition from the Caribbean, which charges that the APD indiscriminately calculates the taxes on trips to the region. Seeley said the APD was one of the major concerns highlighted by hotel property owners in the country. Earlier this year, the tax rose to $126 per person on a given economy class flight to the Caribbean. Caribbean High Commissioners in the UK are readying to begin a renewed lobby against the tax, using about $63,000 in funding for a public awareness campaign. The latest data shows at least 1 out of 10 Caymanians is out of work. Is it that Caymanians are being forced out of jobs? Cayman Islands Director of Labor and Pensions, Mario Ebanks, says his office is seeing signs of it. Cayman 27 Tammy Solomon has this report.
We are seeing some troubling signs of Caymanians being moved out.
Director of Labour and Pensions Mario Ebanks says there are nearly 2,000 Caymanians registered as unemployed.
I would imagine that probably close to 3/4 of those people are good workers, but they're not being given the opportunity.
He says his team has gotten several reports of employers forcing Caymanians out of jobs. His department and the National Workforce Development Agency are now investigating.
To look at those organizations, those employers, and see if there are any impediments in their system in terms of hiring Caymanians. Is there stereotyping? The workplace conditions such that the Caymanians come in and feel like they're total strangers and are ostracized.
Government is now looking at making modifications to the immigration law. Part of the plan is to set up a committee to see how the immigration policy has worked, while at the same time taking into consideration the number of Caymanians currently out of work. Mr. Ebanks says it is those unemployed Caymanians the changes should target and help transform the perception.
Because those same issues of competitiveness and work ethic and resilience are very important if we talk about reviewing and reforming immigration.
In the meantime, he says, everything must be done to ensure Caymanians get work, particularly less popular industries like hospitality.
We need to make sure that those who are there and who want to be there are allowed to stay there and to be productive and to contribute. Mr.
Ebanks says all stakeholders must work hand in hand in order to solve Cayman's unemployment problem. Tammy Suleiman, Cayman 27.
Bahamian police are investigating the circumstances surrounding the discovery of 8 bodies on the beach in Grand Bahama on July 20. Initially, 6 bodies were found, including that of a child on a beach at Holmes Rock. Shortly after, 2 more bodies were discovered near a sunken boat half a mile from shore. According to the police, it's believed that all 8 were illegal immigrants who were trying to make their way to the United States. Assistant Commissioner of Police in the Bahamas, Hulan Hanna, said further checks were carried out along the shoreline and at sea to ensure that there were no other bodies. Officials say the identities or nationalities of the victims were not known and added that autopsies would be performed to determine the cause of death. And coming up next on JTV News, the tourism director tells JTV News 2013 tourism season is expected to be a much better year for the BVI. And a royal bliss, Prince Jediah and Prince Jacoy